Any questions from folks as you listen to me talk?
The second years also, you can ask as many questions as you want. Please don't hesitate. Sonali, Suchishmita.
Oh my gosh, you guys are a very serious batch.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Rohan.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, Rohan.
So most of the time, interviewer asked in the last moment, what question you have for the company. So
Yes.
what would be the best answer for that?
Rohan, there are a bunch. So whenever you face a question, right, the answer should never be that I don't have any question, right? That's the most stupid answer to give because that's the easy way for you to impress the recruiter. And I'll tell you what questions you should be asking. Okay. First thing, the easiest question to ask is typically is something about like, what do you think makes this company different from every other company? So basically throwing it back to the interviewer to ask them what makes them think that this is a great company. So that's, I think, a very good question to ask. If you can maybe look at what are the trends in the marketplace. So this requires a lot of homework, but this is a great question to ask. For example, if you're, say, Rohan, you're interested in joining, say, Adani Group as a corporate strategy manager, right? Take it up as an example. If you've been tracking Adani for the past 6 months, you probably know what's happening to Adani Group. What are some of the problems they're encountering? What are some of the ways they're resolving those problems? And then you basically create a question from your end, which is customized to what the company is going through. So, for example, you could be asking a question like, I've heard that Adani is into all the infrastructure projects, and I heard that it's also getting into a lot of international projects. So, what are the chances of first year employees in the first year getting involved in some of these international projects and going abroad to work in your company? I think that's also a great question to ask because it is not just about asking them a question, but you're also telling them that you have tracked what's happening within Adani Group. You know where their operations are, you know where the new opportunities are going to open up. It means a lot about the fact that you have done your homework about the company. Any interest you show in the company will always be viewed as a positive. What I have done during interviews is when I used to talk to all the big tech companies, whether it's be Amazon or Microsoft, one easy way to impress them is there's something called a quarterly report. Okay, so every company, every quarter, they have to file a report about how good the state of the business is. There's a lot of financial numbers, there's a lot of financial ratios. You don't need to go there, but there's also a lot of sections where they write about what's happening in the company, what are the opportunities, what are their strengths, what are they doing well, where are they getting better, where they should be doing a better job, right? All these risk factors and opportunities are all explained very, very clearly in the annual report or the quarterly reports. So sometimes by reading the quarterly reports, you can get a very good sense of what the company is doing. You can tell the interviewer that I've looked at it quarterly reports and these are the questions they have. That again can be very impressive in terms of the questions you ask. The last thing I would also recommend is maybe talk to one or two people working in that company and tell the interviewer that I'll talk to 2-3 people working in your company, and based on that, these are my 1 or 2 questions. And again, that can also be impressive questions. Does it help, Rohan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Who's going next? Arun? Arun, you should ask because you have done a short internship.
Yes, ma'am, but I have a question in my mind, but Rohan has asked it and it got clear. And the stop it like I understood. We have to prepare for
let me ask a question on your behalf, right? Because this is probably I've done maybe workshops across maybe 10 IITs so far, going to the IITs. And one common question I used to get is, how does one improve communication skills? I think it's a very common question. So first thing first, right, to improve communication skills, I would personally say that there are 2 components involved. One is that read a lot. Firstly, be aware of the world around you. So as an undergraduate student, if you want to ever get into finance or consulting, right, you have to really understand the broader picture of how businesses work. What are some of the problems they encounter on a daily basis? Even if you work as a software engineer, right? Software engineering is about helping the business go forward, but you also need to understand what the business is. What does a company mean? So a couple of things you can be doing really well is understanding what's happening in the world of corporate affairs. So reading newspapers like the Economic Times on a daily basis. This, if ever you get a chance to read the Wall Street Journal, please check it out. Wall Street Journal ties up with the Indian newspaper called the Mint. They publish very good articles on the Wall Street Journal, from the Wall Street Journal on the Mint website. So check out these websites like Mint. Economic Times, and so on. Keep reading about companies. And that's the easy way for you to understand what are the problems being faced by companies. The reason why I'm saying that's important is sometimes when you give answers, it's not always about you, but you're also trying to tell them that how can you be the person to solve some of the problems they are facing. For example, I'll give you a good example. Like AirAsia right now is trying to come up with something called Super App. And that, any questions? Okay. So AirAsia is trying to come up with a super app, and they're recruiting a lot of software engineers from NITs and IITs. So if you're interviewing for a software engineering job in AirAsia, you can just focus on the job and tell them how you're good in. But an easy way for you to impress a recruiter is maybe in the middle of a conversation, you can also talk a little bit about what is AirAsia trying to do through the super app. They're trying to integrate a lot of different features and different acquisitions under one roof. And if you can talk about what are some of the big picture problems and how you can be the person who can also come in and solve some of the problems on behalf of the company, that can look very impressive. So even if you're a first-year employee and if you really don't have the right skill sets to assume a managerial role, the fact that you have that enthusiasm from your end and you know so much about the company, so much in advance, will paint a very favorable impression. So firstly, gathering a lot of knowledge will help you give better answers and be more confident about the company. That's point number one. Point number two is back to what I said earlier, practice. Practice as much as possible. Practice for interviews, practice with your friends, practice with your colleagues, practice with your siblings or even your parents, right? Practice as much as possible. And the more and more you practice, the better you become. And it doesn't matter, for example, how you speak. Some people from maybe different, say, maybe it could be people from Hindi medium, for example. There could be people from, say, Tamil medium who are studying in IITs or NITs, and maybe their command over the language is different. So an interviewer doesn't care how you talk. They only care about what you're talking about. So if you talk differently, but you're talking a lot of sense, the recruiter will be very, very impressed. And that's the easy way to impress the recruiter. So you always want, whenever you speak something, think about what you're talking and make sure that whenever you talk, you're conveying something about you through what you're telling the recruiter or interviewer. So you follow some of these tips, I think you can leave a very favorable impression, not just during a job search process in undergrad, but also later on in your life, right? Every sentence you talk, think of yourself as that's an opportunity for you to sell yourself to the interviewer. So you are a salesman selling yourself to the interviewer. So choose words carefully, think about what you're saying, and paint yourself in a favorable light. And these are easy ways to impress recruiters. Okay, so any further questions? If not, we'll probably meet tomorrow. And maybe tomorrow I'll expect more of you folks to be asking questions.
Yes, sir, sure.
If somebody is not comfortable asking questions, you can also type it down in the chat box. Okay.
Yeah, scholars, I think at least once all of you should switch on your videos. Can you all do that? For a short while. Mr. Vinod, should we have a picture together?
Yes, please. We love it.
This? Yes.
Yes, we should. We should.
Sonali, yeah.
Rajesh, let me know. I can also, if you can send me something over, I can put it up on the Joy Thomas Foundation LinkedIn page. I'm also admin for the page. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should use for that. And yeah. Rohan, your face is not very clear. Yashwant, Dikshant, Suchishmita, Monica. Monica, switch on your video. Dikshant and Suchishmita also. Okay, that's fine, Suchishmita. Dikshant and Monica. Kuntal, you're able to switch on your video. I guess you're traveling. Okay, I think we should manage with this. Just a second. Yeah, thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks so much. It's a pleasure talking to you on a Saturday evening. We'll catch up again tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about resume, like tips on improving your resume. And I'll again give you perspective from an HR recruiter in terms of what are we looking for. That's very different from what you guys typically put on your resumes. Okay, happy to talk to everyone tomorrow.
Sorry.
So Rajesh, I'll send over slides today. Please circulate to them so they can have maybe look at the slides and let me know if there are further questions.
Yes.
We'll follow up again tomorrow.
You have already shared that with me, Mr.
Yes,
Vinod.
you have it. You have it.
Yes. So should I share the first one today?
You can, because I think there's a
First
bunch of
PPT.
things there. I would love
Yes.
you to reflect on it if possible.
Yes. Yes. And the second one I'm supposed to share tomorrow, right?
Yes, after the sessions.
After the session. Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. Can we wrap up?
Yeah,
today?
and folks, add me on LinkedIn. I would love to be in touch with you folks. If you have questions, I would love to get you connected with a lot of people working in JDF, a lot of volunteers, professors, and people in very senior positions in industry, part of the JDF Foundation. So get in touch with me on LinkedIn. Search for my name, Vinod Aravindakshan on LinkedIn. Happy to be in touch with you, help you expand your network to the larger community. And if you want to reach out to specific people, they'll also help you there. Okay, so be in touch. Thanks.
I've actually posted a message for them yesterday saying, they should follow you, and also maybe can you tell them a little about your newsletter for which they can subscribe?
Yeah. So folks, I just write a lot of interesting stuff for both employees and for students to help them understand what the job market is and what are some of the problems you will face when you're entering the job market and how do you get around it? Like how do you upskill? What sort of skills are there to be picked up? So if you just follow me on, if you add me on LinkedIn, right, automatically you'll get a request saying, do you want to follow the newsletter? So I think the easy way for you to follow the newsletter. Then my newsletter is called Insider Guide to Careers. But I think I've written it from a very Indian perspective, from a very HR perspective. Typically, HR doesn't like talking about what they do. So I try to just open up the topic of HR and the secrecy of HR to a larger audience.
So, scholars, I may want you to stay back for 1 minute because, I've not shared the link for tomorrow's call with you. So I'll just tell you about that. And Mr. Vinod, thank you once again.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
See you tomorrow morning. And on behalf of FFE Senior Management and the team, I extend my sincere gratitude to you. Thank you so much for your time and for this opportunity for our scholars. We are proud of this partnership.
Fantastic meeting the scholars, and thank you so much, Ms. Rajeshwari, for staying back on a Saturday night.
That's all right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye. Yeah.